I'm John Wenger from University College Cork, the Centre for Research into Atmospheric Chemistry, and I'm coordinator of the PortAIR project. So the research is funded by the Irish EPA and involves a collaboration between us in University College Cork and researchers in the Centre for Climate and Air Pollution Studies in University of Galway. We're also working with Dublin Port Company, and they've allowed us to set up a monitoring site here in the port area. So the PortAIR research project is focused on air pollution sources. We're trying to work out what are the sources of air pollution in Dublin Port. There's a whole range of activities taking place in the port area, obviously shipping activity from passenger ships, but also cargo and cruise ships. We have a wide range of vehicles in operation, heavy goods vehicles. There's also power stations and other industrial sources. So all of these things emit pollutants into the air, and we're trying to measure those and trying to work out how much of these different sources contribute to the overall air pollution. So the central part of this research is really a year-long measurement campaign. So in this monitoring station here that we've set up, we have a range of instruments that are continuously measuring gases and particles. So the pollutant gases that we're focusing on are nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide and sulfur dioxide from combustion sources, which includes traffic and ships and solid fuel burning during winter months as well, but also particles, PM2.5, which possibly have the most serious health effect for humans. And for particles in particular, we are really focusing on not just the concentration of the particles, but also their composition, because that really helps us to pinpoint their sources. The results so far indicate that the levels of pollution are generally in line with other parts of Dublin, but we do have times of the day where we have high levels of pollution. So for example, in the morning we see peaks due to all the activity, traffic and the ferries and so on, so peaks in some of the air pollutants there. And we also see a large number of spikes due to very localized activity, which could be trucks or ship plumes. And so we're working on trying to identify the times of ship movements and see if we can pick out certain emissions and look at traffic patterns as well. So overall, this is very interesting, and we're trying to pinpoint some of those sources. This year-long data set is very valuable to us. It's very complex, and it contains information on all the pollutants. And the way we handle that is we do a process called source apportionment, and it's a statistical method which allows us to look at the pollutants and attribute them to different sources. And the outcome of that will be how much of the pollution is due to shipping, how much of the pollution is due to traffic, how much is due to residential solid fuel burning or other processes that we haven't thought of yet. And so that's what we're hoping to do. And that information will be useful for Dublin Port in assessing their activities and trying to identify ways that they can reduce their emissions. The results will be important for Dublin Port Company because it will allow them to assess their emissions from different sources, and they can target certain areas for reducing emissions as they go forward. I think this is part of their sustainability plan, and of course there are benefits for people living in the wider Dublin area if there's less pollution around. So there may well be certain ideas that could be put forward, for example, providing onshore power for ships when they're in port, and maybe cleaner sources of energy around the port area as well. Stakeholders in this project are obviously Dublin Port Company, but Dublin City Council, the people of Dublin, general public I suppose, the EPA and the Department of the Environment as well, because they also set policy for the country. So there's a wide range of stakeholders there, and I think that the results from this project will be valuable for them. One of the innovative parts of this project is the deployment of a low-cost sensor network. So this trailer behind me is €500,000, probably more, worth of equipment. And we can't have these dotted around the port in different areas. But we have low-cost sensor nodes which can measure particles and gases located at 9 different places around the port. And so this gives us a better map of the emissions and pollution around the whole port area. And so this is an interesting development because it might well be a way of monitoring the port area going forward. And I think Dublin Port Company will be interested in the results of this activity.